friends, welcome to Revival Town Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
Chuck Tate.
Andy.
Chuck.
It's always good to hang with you.
Always good.
You know?
Highlight of the month when we get to do this.
Yes. Thanks for being my friend.
I know. And it is great to see you sometimes. And okay. I know a lot of people like hearing our voices every week. And so we're glad that we could do it.
But, everybody but those in our home.
Now, I'm surprised that you are awake.
Yeah, I know. I am tired.
And it's not because you were doing ministry or visiting someone at the hospital.
No. But I am doing a funeral tomorrow and a graveside service Monday. But I have somebody else speaking. Our executive pastor's in town to preach this weekend, so it gives me a weekend off, which is really nice. Well, but I'm up because I'm binging Netflix, man.
I thought you only work one day a week.
What?
I thought you only worked one day a week.
Well, yeah, pastors, they only work one day a week, and some of them, and if they're a pastor who only has one service, you're only working for an hour a week. I got two services. I'm working for 2 hours a week.
Double pay.
We used to have 3 services before COVID. At one time we were doing 4, but that was too much. That was crazy, and it was killing our team. But no, and obviously we're joking because there's so much more to ministry than just one day a week.
But we have heard that over the years,
right? Oh yeah. I've been asked, so how is it only working one day a week? And I'm like, well, let's talk about that because
yeah. After you fix your black eye I just gave you. Okay, but why are you tired, Chuck?
So I finished the series. Stranger Things, and I watch it through VidAngel app, just so everybody knows. Yeah. Because I can eliminate whatever I want. And the reason I actually started watching this because of you a few years ago when it first came out. But there were a lot of churches doing sermon series with the same title, Stranger Things, and tied it in. I saw a lot of the merch and things. So I was intrigued, and then so I started watching it. You're like, you know what, you should check it out, and kind of got sucked into it, and my son was watching it. And
well, the thing I loved about it was it's all filmed in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is like you're watching something from the 80s, which is when we grew up, right?
Yep.
And so for me, it was one of those things that, I got sucked into it. And I'll be honest, I mean, 4th season, I was worried at the beginning. I even called you.
You called me, and I checked it out. And I actually told my son, you're not going to watch this season. We're going to be done with this show. And I was already kind of on the fence with it because I'm not a horror movie guy. And this is not a horror movie show, just so you know. But I'm not a fan of Christians who are into horror. God has not given us a spirit of fear. We go on and on about that. There's so much stuff in the demonic realm, and we're not going to give any spoilers. But I was concerned that this season was taking a turn toward the demonic.
Sure.
But in the end, you find out that was not the case.
Sure.
Which was why I said, okay, you can watch it. Well, we're watching it through VidAngel, and again, VidAngel is an app that allows you to eliminate swear words, and you can determine what it filters the show. So whatever content you don't want in it, you can filter it at. So I highly recommend it. And
VidAngel is pretty cool. I mean, that's a lot of people use it, and you may be listening going, man, I've never heard of that before. It's great. And
the VidAngel app is put out there by Angel Studios, which is partnered with The Chosen.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's why I was up, and I was on the last episode, and it's the last episode, 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing was when you told me you were watching it alone at night because of your hearing aids, right? You have it streaming into your hearing aids. Mm-hmm. And I turned to Teresa. I was like, I don't know if I could watch it on my own. There's too many because it is a thriller.
It's intense.
It's a thriller.
Yeah, yep.
And so. But we are going to be talking today with someone. So you interrupting me again?
I am doing it again. I'm horrible at this because of my hearing. No, what I was going to say was there was a portion of the show that I am going to use in a sermon. There are some great.
Oh, there's loads.
So much content, which is why a number of pastors and churches have done sermon series based off, piggybacking. No pun intended. That's the last episode. What it's called, piggyback. But anyway, enough of that. We have a cool show today.
Yeah, and the guy who's on, Josh Andrew, we actually talked to him about what he watches and listens because he's a Gen Z guy.
Yep.
However, this guy, you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it. He's a creative pastor, and it was really good.
Yeah, you're a creative, so I knew you would connect right away, and which we don't want to give a spoiler, but right off the bat, you guys had a connection. So
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's go.
All right. Well, thank you. Sit back and relax and enjoy this conversation with Josh Andrew.
This podcast is part of the Edify Podcast Network. Edify is a faith-inspiring app that brings together thousands of the best Christian podcasts in one place for your listening enjoyment. Cut through the noise and grow your faith by diving into the world's top Christian podcasts today. Download the Edify app for free from the App Store or Google Play, or by going to edify.app. That's edifi.app.
All right, everyone, it's time for another conversation on Revival Town Podcast. Our guest today, Josh Andrew, is a leader, pastor, entrepreneur, and podcaster who resides in Omaha, Nebraska with his wife, Lexi. Josh is the author of What's the Point and is a content creator partner for YouVersion Bible app. We're honored to have him on today. Josh, welcome to Revival Town.
How are you guys?
Oh, good.
We're good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm highly caffeinated. I'm ready to go.
Well, listen, we had the opportunity to meet a few weeks ago in Kansas City at an event called Digital Billy Graham Summit, and just a really cool vibe, cool weekend. Got to meet you and your wife and connected with you on Instagram and said, man, I'd love to, get you on a Revival Town and have you share your story so we can get to know you.
Yeah.
And so you just met Andy a few moments ago. So I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Well, it was crazy. He's wearing a hat. I don't know if you can see this, Pagan USA, which comes out of all the guys that Ethan is working with at Mosaic in LA. And I was like, I know that design for that hat because Ethan was involved in a lot of this stuff. So it was bizarre, like when you see something like that. So yeah, so cool. So we hit it off pretty quick. For sure.
We're best friends.
Yeah, best friends. Yeah. But what we want to find out from you, Josh, I mean, people are tuning in. We have a lot of people who listen to the podcast. And every week we have different people from different walks of life come in and talking and sharing what they're doing in their area of the world and making a difference. So if someone was coming up to you and saying, hey, we want to find out a little bit about Josh Andrew, what are we going to find out? What is your story?
Yeah. Well, I would assume that you would know that I'm a Jesus guy. I love Jesus. Jesus changed my life when I was 15 years old.
What?
Crazy. I know. I am. It's gonna blow your mind, but I don't think I would be known as just like a typical just a Christian guy. Grew up in the did not. So I do have a lot of really awesome stories, and I'm a creative by nature. I love to create things, whether that be like literal designs or create business ideas or create futures for people, whatever it is. I want to be known as an encourager, a lover. I'm definitely a confrontational person, so I have to like choose to be like a question asker and kind. Yeah, so I would hope that people would think that I'm a Jesus guy. I love God and I love people. I think it's as simple as that. I want to be known as a guy who is an encourager, first and foremost, obviously. Loving my wife. My wife and I have been married for a year now, so I have no marriage advice for this podcast. But
happy anniversary. You made it through the first one.
Thanks. We made it. June 9th was our 1-year anniversary.
All right.
Yeah, I love tacos. I love Chipotle, and I love coffee. So
man,
I am
Dude, you're our people.
I'm a creative by nature. Oh, yeah. if you guys were Qdoba people, I would probably leave the Zoom call right now.
Oh, well, you know what? One of us is a Qdoba guy. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah. I just can't get into Now, here's the deal, though.
Really, I'm a Chipotle.
Me and my kids, we have this debate all the time because they're big Chipotle people. But for me, I'm more of the nacho. Like, I'm from England, so Mexican food, Tex-Mex, I didn't touch it until I came to America 30 years ago. So my English stomach couldn't take all that spicy stuff at the beginning. So I would just get nachos, right? Constantly, like nachos with stuff on it. So Qdoba does have them beat on the nacho type extreme thing. So that's why. That's why. Now, if it was on burritos and stuff, I get it. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, let me throw a wrench into it. What do you think of Moe's? Moe's, are you familiar with Moe's?
Yeah, I've never had it. We used to have one in Omaha, but it closed down before I moved here.
Yeah,
so
but that's why. That's why. I mean, you just summed it up. Moe's closed, right? You know what I'm saying? They can't compete with Chipotle or Qdoba. So.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone who's listening outside of the USA that have no idea what we're talking about. This is all about great food, for sure.
Yes, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your journey on how you came to Christ, how that journey of finding Him happened.
Yeah, I did not grow up in the church at all. We went once a year, and then my dad and I would sit in the back of the small Lutheran church on Christmas and kind of make fun of the communion moment, like, oh, these guys think that's blood and someone's body. That's weird. Yeah. And I got plugged into a youth group when I was in middle school. I was an athlete. I loved playing basketball and football, and just had fun hanging out with my friends. And through about 4-year journey of just going on Wednesdays, so shout out to the youth pastor listening. It actually does work, and everything you're doing is being consistent with those kids who don't want to listen to you. It works because I didn't want to listen to anybody. But my sophomore year of high school, I just had a pretty radical encounter with what I know now as the Holy Spirit and God and His loving grace. And I struggled with anxiety really bad as a kid, not just like what you would hear now in a common language, but clinical anxiety with panic attacks. I got in an accident with my car. It almost killed me and my 4 friends, and I tore my ACL and meniscus. So kind of all those things, all really removing my identity, removing my friends, removing anything out of the way. And I finally just had a moment. And what I find even better than that moment is I had a youth leader grab a hold of me and every week would pick me up for church, take me out to coffee, teach me how to be a man, teach me how to worship, how to love his wife. And it was just an incredible testament of a great youth leader and a great youth ministry.
Yeah. And let's pause there a minute, because I think sometimes, especially in this day and age, youth ministry can get a bad rap. Right, especially with the whole deconstruction side of things that's happening now, that everyone that was in youth group 10 years ago, and we talked about this on the episode
last week
we had
Elisa Childers.
She was on, and we were talking about this, and it was all about how, yes, a lot of people are questioning and wanting to know what they really believe, and that's good as long as they're starting with the Word of God, right? With truth, right? But what you find with a lot of these guys is they trash everything that happened when they were in youth groups or churches as if nothing good happened. But yet, when you go back, and I shared this last week, you go back with some of these guys and gals, they forget the time when they're sitting on your couch ready to throw in the towel, that are going through so much.
And you're pouring in them, and you're praying with them, and you're investing in them. And God was moving, generally, moving in their life. But then they've allowed this culture to bombard them from everywhere, and they think it was all a bad experience. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so for you, that is important that you're getting out for youth pastors to hear that what you are doing right now matters. Even 5-10 years down the road, there may be seeds that are planted now as youth pastors on a Wednesday night or a Sunday that will bear fruit years to come. What was that like for you growing up in those youth group Where was that? Was that where you're at now, or in a different city?
Yeah. It was in Sioux City, Iowa. So I was born and raised in Iowa. Made a trip over. I lived in South Dakota, so I've kind of made throughout the whole Midwest.
Yeah.
But it was a church called Sunnybrook. It's one of the top 100 fastest growing churches in the country. Thriving, really healthy, awesome church. And yeah, I had a youth pastor who, like, literally the day after my car accident, took me out to Applebee's and just processed it with. And keep in mind, like, I gave my life to Jesus, but I was a wreck.
Yeah.
So for like 3 or 4 years, I was still living a pretty double life, but I was pursuing God. And I mean, I went to after prom, got done at 5 a.m. and went straight to church. Like, it's just what I did. I loved it. I loved to sit front row and worshiping. And if I wasn't there, my youth leader would, like, knock on my window, getting me to church with breakfast pizza. Like, hey, buddy, you're coming to church with me, whether you want to or not. That's good. And really helping me shape who I am today. Like, I got to watch him date his now wife. I got to watch him be a father for the first time. I was in his wedding. So, yeah, a lot of credit to Nick Paulson. He's still to this day a great mentor. My wife and I go back and see them often just to spend time with them. Obviously, life has changed a lot, and it's more just like a friendship now. But still, yeah, have to give credit where credit's due.
And did you meet your wife then in church?
So yeah, kind of. I was on team at our church. I helped plant our church, and then I helped plant our second campus. And right in the middle of helping plant that second campus, my wife started coming around, and we hung out one time. And then for like a couple of months, we didn't talk at all. And she texted me and said, hey, I'm coming to the 5 p.m. service. Can you save a seat for me? And from that point on till now, we literally have hung out every single day. Right. She did friend zone me for 7 months. I have to make sure that isn't every time, because we were friends. I was so persistent. And for 7 months, we were just friends. We hung out. We had fun. We built church together. But then right when we started dating, we knew we were going to get married.
Wow. Now, you're fairly young, right?
Yeah. How old do you think I am?
I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible.
Everybody is. That's what's fun.
Chuck, how old do you think?
I'm going to go with my gut's 25.
Nice. I love asking that question. I'm 23.
Okay, I wasn't too far off.
That's good.
So then, I mean, you're what, Generation Z then? And
I'm Gen Z.
You're Gen Z, and you're ministering to Gen Z and probably ministering to millennials as well. And obviously, you had a youth pastor who was instrumental in you coming to faith. I spent 8 years in youth ministry before I was planted to the church that I'm leading. Andy's been a part of youth ministry as well. So we do want to give a shout out to all the youth pastors, all the youth leaders, and let you know that you do matter. Absolutely. Right? What you do matters. It's vital. It's important because somebody was willing to invest in you and pour into you and mentor you and raise you up, and now you're doing that. You're a leader. You're a mentor. You're an entrepreneur. You know, you're a content creator. You're out there sharing your faith. What's the number one problem or issue that you think Gen Z is facing right now?
Yeah, I think you guys said something earlier about deconstruction, and what came to mind was influence. I think we as Gen Z, I'm a part of Gen Z, get influenced very easily by whether that be an account on social media or whether that be a person that you meet at your first job. I think that something that I would recommend to people that are my age or even younger is to be very careful of who you let in your world and who you listen to. Even to the point of what podcast you listen to, what YouTube videos you watch, because it shapes you. It shapes your mind. What we used to say is the top 5 people in your life shape your identity, your future. I would say the top 5 influences in your life, whether that be somebody you they don't even know who you are, but you're consuming all of their content and actually starting to emulate who they are. And that's the first thing that comes to mind, is be so careful of who you let in your world, but also be careful of what you want, because you might get it. Like, people are chasing influence, people are chasing fame, people are chasing things that have been going on for thousands of years. But you might get it, and it might not be something that you actually want. So yeah, be careful who you listen to.
I love that. There's so much wisdom in that, because I've noticed, and I'm sure you guys both agree, when you can go to somebody's Instagram page and you can look at who they follow, and you can get a pretty good picture of what they believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and you asked a question last week to Lisa Childers, and I didn't know if she was going to answer. And Andy asked, who are some people that you would name that are leading people away from Jesus? I mean, not in those exact words.
I just asked who's the wolves in sheep's clothing in this generation,
right?
Because there's a lot, and it's important because people need to know.
Yeah, because I know people who are following the people that she listed, and you can see get a feel for where they're at. It's so important for us to know what we believe and why we believe it. But Josh, I really appreciate that influence. What a word! And and you're using your influence to preach the gospel, to share the word, to drop hope, to encourage people. And so in fact the conference that we were at, Digital Billy Graham Summit, was about using your platform and using your influence, all right, to lead people to Jesus. And that's what you're doing. I mean, you have about 50,000 plus followers on Instagram, and you have a podcast. And in fact, I saw where you interviewed one of the players for the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks. So let's talk about influence. How are you using your influence?
Yeah, I would say that I have always had an easy brain when it comes to social media or marketing. I owned a marketing agency for 4 years, had 19 employees. So I think, though, the digital marketing world has always just kind of been innate to me. Like, it makes sense. And it's really hard for me to explain. But I do know that as far as my platform, I have never had an agenda to get followers. I know how to get that. I know how to create content that engages with people. But my heart is the local church and the people that I pastor, that I sit at coffee with. Right before this podcast, I rode a live scooter home to get time on this, because I'm a person who loves to sit over coffee. I haven't even been on social media for like 2 months. I deleted it because it was just, I was spending 23 hours a week. And keep in mind, a part of that is my job and my side hustles and stuff. But I just deleted it because I needed to get away. And I have a mentor, John Mark, who gets away for like 9 months out of the year on social media. And it just kind of spoke to me. It was just like, I can't get the fruit of Jesus without living the lifestyle of Jesus. And Jesus got away. So I do obviously, I'm thankful that God's given me a platform. I'm thankful. If I had 5 Instagram followers, I'd still be thankful. Right. And I love creating content. I think it's fun. But I also know that it could all get deleted tomorrow, and I'd be just as content about what God's doing with my wife and I.
You just mentioned, and I'm guessing this John Mark Comer, right? Is that who you were talking about then? Yeah. So I just got off I did a sabbatical earlier this year and read his book. I'm going to mess up the title. The Ruthless
Elimination of Hurry.
There you go. Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And in fact, I've sent that to people who I know, maybe dealing with anxiety or with just the pressure of being in ministry, and having to be able to just step back. And that book it's one of the best books I've ever read. Yep. Just because he goes there with it.
You sent a picture of it to me, like, mate, got to read this book.
Yeah, but you were too busy to get it. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I was on TikTok saying, what?
Yep.
But obviously you've read that book, and it sounds like you know him. What are some of the things that for your generation, right? Because this is what I'm finding is Gen Z and that generation, they haven't, how do I say it? They haven't had the example of being able to be seen as someone that stops. They are constantly doing the hustle, right? And so when a book like that is written or someone says, you need to take a breather, it's hard for them because they've never experienced someone doing that. So what was that book for you, and even obviously the connection with him? What are some of the things that you've learned through him as a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. But I mean, that book was probably the most life-changing book besides the Bible in my life. And that was before I knew him, and I'm going to be with him in August. And what's crazy is we sit over coffee and we hear about people's worst moments in their life, and we go, I don't want that, so I'm going to learn from it. But when somebody writes about it, we don't think of it as credibility. Right. But he plain as day says, I was at the point, I didn't even know what day it was. I would wake up and I didn't even know what year or where I was at because I was doing too much. And in the meantime, I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my church. I'm going to lose everything. Yeah. So that's where that book came out of. And it goes, okay, I don't want that. I guess I'm just going to learn from it. It's wisdom. And that's what it is. And like I said the sentence earlier, but I think it's something that he lives and consistently talks about, not only just the practical, really amazing teachings that he teaches, but you just cannot expect the fruit of Jesus without living the lifestyle of Jesus. It just doesn't make sense. It's simple math. And the simple math is Sabbath and rest. And I don't know, I talk to hundreds of pastors every month who think of Sabbath as a joke, or you just don't understand, man. I have 3 kids, and I don't have kids, so I can't speak on behalf of that, but I can listen to people who do have kids who actually follow a Sabbath, and not out of a religious obligation, but a necessity of what we're doing for the kingdom. It is necessary. And keep in mind, John Mark goes pretty extreme with it, which I actually kind of like, because I'm an extremist, so it kind of works. But I don't know. I think it's imperative for my generation, for any generation. I don't care if you're 90 or 5. It's imperative to rest and to get away, and not only weekly, but you think every 7 days, every 7 weeks, every 7 months, there should be something going on. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's imperative that you actively have a Sabbath. I think the Bible obviously speaks on it very seriously. I wouldn't sit down with the pastor and ask him if he's murdering people or stealing from his target just as much as it's in the same 10 lists. So I just think it's imperative that you rest and not Sabbath out of a religious obligation, like I said, but out of a true heart of I genuinely need to get away with Jesus, or it's just not going to work, because I want to be in ministry till I'm 80, not 8 weeks.
Yeah. Well, Sabbath, a lot of people forget that Sabbath isn't for Jesus. Sabbath is for us. Right? Yeah. The Sabbath is for us to rest, right? God rested on the 7th day, and the Sabbath was created for us. And Andy just took a 3-month sabbatical, was it?
It was about 2 months. I mean, it was a fairly short one. It's the first one I've ever done.
8 year sabbatical?
Yes, yeah. It's the first one I've ever done. And I'll be honest with you, especially with the ministry that I'm running. I mean, I have, over 50 people on staff. It's a $2.6 million operation. A lot of people coming to me and reporting to me and making sure this thing is going, not just raising the money, because that's one whole side of things. But to be honest with you, the biggest importance for me at the Dream Center is making sure we are doing what we say we're doing. And so we have a homeless shelter for women and children. It's the only shelter in Peoria. Over 100 people are there every night. And then we have 21 apartments that folks, the single moms, can transition into the apartments to really transition them back into society. And just making sure that everyone is on board and making sure that we are doing what we're saying is so critical. And so for the Sabbath, for me, and especially, I'm pretty good on the Sabbath thing. Like, you can ask any of our staff, we've got a core value: work hard, play hard. And the whole concept is, hey, we're going to work as hard as we can. And we even have another core value called fill it to the brim. And basically we are going to do everything we can in what God's given us to fill it to the brim, and then God will bring the overflow. And to get it to the brim sometimes means, hey, Chuck, you've been going 7 days straight. You need to take 3 or 4 days off, and I'm telling you as your boss, you need to do that. And that's a common type of thing at our organization. You can
if you crash and burn, it affects
absolutely.
So many people. Same thing in ministry as a pastor.
And I had this conversation with one of our staff members just a few weeks ago, and she was running constantly, like just doing ministry. And I said, you are no good to us the following week if you've been going for 7 days straight. You're no good to us the following week because you're burnt out, you're tired, you're grouchy, the dignity level goes down because the way that you're talking to people, there's no dignity in that. She wasn't doing that, but what I was saying, what I was making the point was, if you don't rest, then it's going to affect the organization. And so we're really big on that. But this was the first time I had taken like an extended time. And I'll be honest with you, the first 3 weeks was killer for me because I'm a creative, I'm a visionary. And so my mind is constantly thinking of 9 months to a year out, especially when you're in an organization like this. And I was constantly thinking of stuff that needed to be done in the fall, and it was spring. So that was hard, and that's where the book really helped me with that in the early stages of the sabbatical for sure. But I think this whole world, especially with regards to being on the treadmill and the hustle and I think that is extremely hard, especially for creatives. I think with creatives, your minds are constantly going. My house was full of creatives. I've mentioned it before with Ethan and Clay. Both my boys are in LA doing a lot of creative stuff with Mosaic and everything out there. And I mean, their world is, I've had to turn to them and say, just take a breather, because creatives bring more on. Do you want to just speak into that world of a creative as well as taking time to rest?
Yeah, I mean, I never knew I was a creative. I was just kind of like, I'll just kind of do whatever. But I mean, I've always been a musician. I love art. I love design. I did digital marketing. So I'm a creative. Yeah. I just never accepted like a typical creative, But I think it's imperative. I got to the point where I was working when I started my business. I worked 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. overnight shift at a gym. I would go home, sleep for 2 hours, and then I'd work at the church, and then I would do the digital marketing stuff and had clients and people. So I would I would sleep probably 20 hours a week. I would wake up. I'd get off work at 6 a.m., go load in at our church because we don't have a building. We're load in, load out. I would do services all the way till 5 p.m. 6 p.m. I'd eat a quick dinner and then go back to work till 6 a.m. So I would be up almost 72 hours every week. So you talk about burnout or just horrible psychology, whatever you want to call it. You label it. I had it. And I just had to get to the point where I had to be so intentional, not only with my schedule, but with my diet, with my water, with my friends, and knowing myself, because I'm an introvert. I had to figure out how I refresh my work. So it took me probably about a year to truly find out like what rest refreshes my soul, a rhythm for my Sabbath, which now on the other side of it is so healthy. And I'm able to help our teams and people see when Josh doesn't have even the same rhythm. I get out of rhythm. People can tell I'm off a little bit. I need to get away. I need to have a couple hours to myself. Obviously, my wife is the first person to know that. When I get done with work, I need it like 45 minutes to myself just to refresh. So it's imperative. And if you don't know how to do that, what a great place to start is saying, I don't know how to do this. You should show me your schedule. That's what I did. my pastor, I was like, show me your schedule. You're super disciplined. And I just kind of copy and pasted it until I figured out what worked for me.
Good. That's great, because ministry has a tendency to chew people up and spit them out, right? I mean, the church that I lead, I've been pastoring 24 plus years. And I know early on, man,
just for what, so people know, you haven't just been pastoring this church for 24 years. You launched the church. There was no Rock Church until you started it, which is totally different. I mean, it's I'm not saying it's easy, but for pastors that step into an established church, that's one thing. But for someone to launch it and then be here for 24 years, first kudos to you, Chuck. But it is different. Carry on. I don't want to stop the thought, but that's different.
Yeah. In fact, the first 9 years we were mobile, setting up and tearing down in some capacity.
And you weren't just mobile. How many places were you going?
So this is our 10th location that we've been in since we started, but we've been here since 2009. So yeah, our first 10 years of the church, we were in 9 or 10 different locations. I mean, all over the place. We subleased another church building. We were we did 1 week at a park. We were in a campground for a couple months, and then we were in like a Knights of Columbus. We were in a skating rink for 2 years, a hotel twice. I mean, we never did a school, we never did a movie theater, but this was early on before there were church planting networks that were leading and guiding and helping you navigate that. And man, we spent 5 weeks in a Knights of Columbus. Our children's church was in a converted bar, and we didn't know it, but they kept the bar open. And this is when you could still smoke inside buildings.
Nice.
So it's like, come as you're at a Rock Church, and they were, man. It's like, anyway, it was crazy. But I know early on, because I was in my 20s when we planted the church, and it took me years to learn Sabbath, to be intentional about rest, to create margins, to say no. And now I am more guarded of my time. I still get into seasons where there are seasons where you need to be busy. But no matter how busy you get, you have to create margins, and you have to learn to say no. And that's allowed me to keep going. When I have friends who just, man, they couldn't do it anymore. They're like, I'm out. I've done it for 20 years. I'm done. And believe me, I've driven to the edge of town to practice leaving, but I'm still here. And and I love doing it. I love creating as well. But the fact that you are as young as you are and you have a grasp on the importance of Sabbath is huge. Because that's what's going to keep you going in ministry.
Yeah. I think it's imperative that you find out what refreshes your soul. You find a rhythm, and you talk to your spouse if you're married and understand their rhythms for accountability and for encouragement. We launched the church, and then we launched our second campus, and it's a grind. There is literally nothing like it. I think it's my favorite thing on the planet. It's planting churches because it's just so different, but it's amazing, and it's incredible that you've made it this far. It's like we're 5 years in, and it's like, holy smokes. But it's so encouraging and fun. It's just, like you said, it's different, but it's the best.
Right on. Well, let me ask you a question before we pray. Who inspires Josh Andrew? Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? I would say, I don't want to say obviously, but my wife inspires me. She's an entrepreneur, way cooler than I am. Super nice. I try to learn from her because she's the nice, sweet, gentle, soft-hearted pastor, and I'm the confrontational, like, let's get to the point. Yeah. She definitely inspires me. I would say, again, like I said, my mentor, Nick Paulson, lives in South Dakota. He inspires me. You guys inspire me. Just on this conversation, I feel inspired. I want to end up the Zoom and get rolling on something. I don't know what, but I'm inspired.
So
no, you go.
Who do you listen to? Who are you reading? What books are you reading? Are you, or maybe you don't even like to read? Leaders or learners. I'm assuming.
I love to read.
Yeah, I know. I knew that. But so who do you listen to? Who do you like to read? Who do you like to read?
Yeah,
I'm reading you.
Just finished the last three books that I just finished. I keep a list.
Okay. Right on.
Wide in the Window by Dr. Elizabeth Stanley. Smile or Die by Barbara, don't know how to pronounce her last name.
That's going on my list.
Yep. It's intense. What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. So I try to read quite a few books. I'm obsessed with it. When I go to bed, I try to read a good amount. But the top, probably some of the best people to read or consume. We've all heard this name, but Dale Carnegie, I think, shaped a lot of my thinking and how to treat people well. His books, as everyone who writes books now is just writing a regurgitated book from like 1940 that actually is super great. So I would say, I love, like we talked about Mosaic earlier, Erwin McManus inspires me. They're That Already podcast. Right. I just love people who think differently than I do. I don't want to be in a room where people all look like me, sound like me, have had the same past as me. I want to learn new things. Sure. So that's definitely somebody that has been, obviously John Mark is incredible. He's like one of the most convicting people you ever talk to, because he actually he walks the walk. I don't know. I had somebody ask me a couple weeks ago, have you ever seen a bad movie? Because I find the good in it, and I'm just like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Just because I can learn from anybody. I don't care who you are. I definitely obviously know how to discern. Right. But very much so. I love whatever. I'll listen to a book on, doesn't matter. I'll pick it up and I'll figure something out.
Tell us about your book real quick. What's the point?
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah. I wrote it when I was young and hungry, I guess. What's the point? It's literally that question that I had to process when I was in college. Like, what's the point of this thing? Like, and it's truly about how to design purpose with your passions. And for me, I was so passionate about social media at the time, and I created a business out of it. And that's the same thing. And it goes through a lot of super practical things about how to design your future in whatever that company is, or church plant or relationship. So that's what it's about. And it's helped a lot of people. It's helped me. And yeah.
Right on. Well, we've had a great time chatting with you today, Josh, and we always ask our guests if they feel comfortable, to pray into what we may have been talking about. And I definitely think with the creatives and with some of the things that we've talked about with Sabbath and things like that, would you just take this time just to pray into that space for us?
Yeah. 100%. I want to pray specifically, and then obviously, and more generalized for everybody, but for somebody who's tired or weary is what we would call that. If you don't know what weary means, it just means tired. It just means run down. It means you want to quit. So I'm going to pray for that specific person that listened to this and thought, man, today was the day I was going to quit. Today was the day I was going to not come home to my wife, to my kids. Today was not the day where I was going to drive to my church. So I'm going to pray for that person. Sure. Jesus, we thank you so much that we can come to you and you will give us true rest. God, that we don't have to design this perfect thing or perfect scenario. We don't have to worry about what's in front of us. God, we just want you. And I pray for whoever's listening to this, whether it's one person or 1,000, God, that they would truly feel refreshed and they would feel equipped to do what you're asking them to do. God, that their soul would be cleansed. They would be just laughing and joyful, and knowing, God, that you have created them for a purpose, on purpose, to be the husband that they are, be the pastor that they are, be the entrepreneur that they want to be. And we thank you in advance for the testimonies of people who desperately are eager for just a refreshed soul. That they're tired, they're burnt out, but not any longer. And we thank you in advance for that. And we just thank you for anyone who's listening to this. We thank you that, God, that they took 30 minutes out of their time to listen. to 3 people and to feel refreshed and to learn something. And I pray that they would feel equipped, and they would feel just a new level of confidence and courage to take on their day, take on their life, and take a hold of it, and knowing, God, that you have called them for such a time as this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And we want people to connect with you. I know a lot of creatives that listen to this podcast, so your numbers may go up on Instagram, but I just wanted you to just tell us how people can connect with you and follow what you're doing.
Yeah, you can find me on any platform at Josh N. Andrew. I'm on any platform. I'd love to chat with you in the DMs. I respond to every single one, so just message me, and I'd love to chat, love to connect. I love FaceTiming people, so hit me up.
Great, that's awesome.
Right on.
Well, we're going to do something we always do at the end of the show, the big three questions that everyone's wanting to know. Chuck, do you want to start, or what do you want?
Sure. I mean, do you want to?
No,
you.
you.
Okay, all right. Okay,
yeah.
All right. My first question is this, Josh. What is the last show or series you binged on Netflix?
Yeah, I would say as far as streaming services goes, I got super into The Ultimate Fighter on UFC. Very left field, but I love it. I love the energy from it. I think they're fun, motivates me to go work out. So that's something that I watch. I don't watch a lot of TV, but if I do, it's something sports.
Okay,
good. All right, I got one. We talked a lot about Sabbath and things like that. What's your ideal Sabbath day? What would you do?
Yep, no alarm clock. I wake up. I take a Lime scooter. We live downtown. I drive to Archetype Coffee. I get a drip coffee with 2 breakfast egg rolls. I hang out, read a book, read my Bible journal, walk home and pray, hang out, watch a movie, take a nap, and then go out to dinner, hang out with some friends.
Nice, man. You got that down.
You got it down.
Right on.
All right.
Man, I'm coming to Omaha.
Do it. I'll show you all the spots.
Right
all
on.
4 of them.
Oh, I've driven through Omaha several times. All right, question. I actually stayed in Omaha a couple times too.
You did?
I have a friend who lives there. But
Okay.
Yep. All right. Last question then is: I see the basketball on your shelf behind you and your Nikes.
Yep.
Who do you like? College and NBA both.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about this. So I've liked Duke basketball since 2001. JJ Redick was my first ever hero, and then Chicago Bulls.
Oh, come on. That's
all
good.
right, all right.
That's good. That's good. All right. We can
So,
we can air this now.
Right.
We're massive.
You're not going to cancel me.
No.
So I got canceled at a Bulls game for real. This is what happened years ago. I'm actually a Phoenix Suns fan, but I like the Bulls because I'm in Illinois. I'm originally from Phoenix, but and my son's a huge Steph Curry fan, so we've seen them a couple times. But I was at a Bulls game probably 20 years ago, and some dude threw his drink at me because I was standing up. I get really passionate, really into the game. When you go to an NBA game, what do? You stand up, you cheer, right? The Bulls stole the ball. This was back when Hersey Hawkins was playing for the Bulls.
Yeah.
And he went down and fast break, and I jumped up. Was like, and I apparently, and I'm hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids. You probably didn't know that, but this guy had been yelling at me to sit down, and I wasn't in his way. He was agitated. He had been drinking the whole game, I'm guessing, and there was 3 or 4 friends with me, and I stood up, and after I guess he had told me to quit standing up, but it's a game. I'm going, that's what people do, and it was the 4th quarter, and they were no longer selling alcohol, so he had switched to Pepsi, and I'm really glad. Yeah. But anyway, he just chucked this drink and hit me in the back, and ice went everywhere.
Man.
And he didn't know I had a cop with me, and the guys with me, they all stood up and turned around, looked at him, and his wife grabbed him and set him down, and security came and took him out. Yeah.
Well, my Chicago Bulls story, and it's quick, but it could be long. I was at the game at the United Center the day that Jordan came back from retirement
Oh, get out of here.
against Orlando Magic.
Man.
And we had got the tickets months before.
Wow.
I mean, way back. And it was a guy here in town. Caterpillar headquarters are here in town. And an exec had said, hey, we've got box seats. You want to come? I'm like, yeah, I'll book it out. So months out. And then 3 weeks before he announced he was coming back, he played a game away. And the first home game was the day that he played Orlando Magic.
Wow.
And I was there.
You saw
it's
Jordan.
crazy.
You saw Jordan.
I saw
Incredible.
Jordan. Yeah.
Man.
So, well,
Cool.
Josh, thank you so much for being on Revival Town podcast today. I know you've helped a lot of people, and keep doing what you're doing. And we'll have you back on, finding out more about where your journey has taken you. But thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been so much fun. I feel like I've learned more than I've given, but it's all right.
Oh, man. We're going to cheer you on.
Thank you. Speak soon.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to Revival Town Podcast. No, hey, thank you, Josh. That was fun. Yeah, you liked him. He's a
Great
creative guy.
As soon as he came on with the hat, I'm
Yeah.
like, I know this. And the guy who helped with all that is,
Yeah, it was
It
cool.
was good. It was good.
Right on. So, you guys go follow Josh and be inspired, especially if if you have kids, and man, they should follow him as well, because he puts out some great content on Instagram, and he's
Yeah.
also on YouVersion Bible app.
Yeah.
He's a creative for that as well, but he has a lot of reels on Instagram that will encourage. If you're a young 20-something millennial, Gen Z, good stuff.
That's good.
All right, man. Well,
You know what's coming.
speaking of communication, all right, we're going to communicate across the pond with Tate and his mate.
Tell us about it.
All right. Well, I'm Tate. That's Mate. And this is the portion of the podcast where Andy gives me the name of a British word, or got me anything.
That was Cockney rhyming slang.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And I have to guess the meaning. So it's something that is a slang word that is known in England but is not known here, or in the
Correct.
UK but not
Yeah,
here. So
yeah.
I got to guess it.
And sometimes I might throw an Australian word in because
Yeah,
you know
know,
it's
'cause you live there as well.
Yeah. But okay. So I've got one. It's we're just still summer coming out of summer, right? You're about to laugh. What are you laughing at? You all right? Are you okay?
I don't know.
Oh. Okay. So in the summer, we would have some aubergines.
So what?
Aubergines.
Aubergines?
Aubergine.
Aubergines. In the summer, I'd have some aubergines. Only in the summer?
Yeah, it is definitely a summer thing. I do believe. Yeah.
Okay. Melons?
Nope.
Popsicles? Aubergines. Hey, bring me a nice cold treat, mate.
Aubergine.
Aubergine. Is it something edible?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is it some type of fruit? Or there maybe it can include fruit?
No.
No, okay. Is it a drink?
No.
I have no idea.
An aubergine is an eggplant.
I would have never, ever.
So in the UK, they don't use the word eggplant. They use aubergine.
Okay.
Is that bizarre? There's a few of these I'm going to start throwing at you.
Okay.
Like that are completely
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
sounding like
Yeah.
the word.
Okay.
But yeah, aubergine.
And I don't even use
Eggplant.
eggplant in my regular conversation. So.
Oh, mate.
You know?
Oh, man. I tell you what.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Hey, all right. Well, hey, always great doing this with you, man.
Always. Let's do it again next week. And everyone that's listening, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're checking us out on social media. Make sure you're telling people. That's the way we grow. This podcast is making sure that people know about it. So go and share the social media pages at Revival Town Podcast, or share our website, revivaltownpodcast.com. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.